Hello again, YouTube, and welcome back to another unboxing. So I had a birthday a couple days ago, and my friend Dave bought me some ASL stuff. So I'm going to be reviewing today 3 more Lone Canuck Publishing scenario packs. So we have the Battle for France, in the Battle of the Meuse to the Seine, about 6 weeks in the early war of France. You've got the 2 Wacht Am Rhein scenario packs, which cover the Battle of the Bulge for the German First Army and the 5th Panzer, 20 December-ish, 1944. So I'm going to be breaking these open and going through the parts and the scenarios, and we're going to do that right now. All right, first up, we got Battle for France. Again, Lone Canuck Publishing, 10 scenarios compatible with ASL. This covers the Meuse to the Seine. That's 6 weeks for the German attack into France in 1940. So on the reverse of the cover, we got the typical information from Lone Canuck Publishing about clip art. Obviously, proprietary needs and such, you cannot use Multi-Man Publishing's, or I should say Hasbro's IP. So they come up with their own clip art. There's a list of playtesters here. Quite a lengthy list. All right, so first up, scenario number 1 is No Shortage of Valor. This takes place in 15 May 1940. Looks like it does most of 2 boards, 44 and 70. 7 SSRs, and they're all short. And looks like a good mix of armor, infantry, guns, fortifications. So this might be a good scenario to play once you're a little bit more experienced in how some of the rules are. We have 548 underline morale, so those are assault engineers for the Germans. I believe one of the earlier Lone Canuck Publishing has the 548s with the demo charge symbol on it, but I'm not sure about that. That may be the case. In any case, looks like you have 2 assault engineer squads. And the French can fortify 2 building locations as well. Oh, and they're fanatic in the fortified. Isn't that nice? Yeah, it's a good mix of units. 7.5 turns. Germans move first. 2 Mark 4Ds in 1940. Interesting. All right. Next up, scenario number 2 is French aggression, 22 May of 1940. Again, uses most of 2 boards. 6.5 turns. Again, 7 SSRs. These ones are a bit longer. And it does incorporate 2 overlays as well in the map. Fairly small unit mixture. You've got, 8, 9 German squads. You've got 9 French squads with some armor. Early war tanks, always nice. And this one has the French as a counterattack. That's very cool. I just noticed that they have an estimated playing time for each of these scenarios. This one is 4 hours and 29 minutes. Seems to be a lengthy time to be playing 6.5 turns, but at any rate, French counterattack. And then we have number 3, French Courage, 28 May of 1940, uses half of 4 map boards, including 1 overlay. Wow. The Germans got 5 guns and 8 squads facing off against 3 tanks and 9 457 French squads. Last 7 turns, eh? I think those 5 AT guns are make short work of that, although they do have an 8 armor. I'm not sure what the kill on a 37 long is. But they do have APCR, I assume. French Courage. Another French counterattack. French Determination number 4, 29 May 1940, uses 3 map boards, 2 overlays. 9 turns, eh? Well, for the French moving first, 8 hours and 36 minutes estimated playtime. That is a full day and a bit, so I don't think we're going to play in this one. I don't think we have the stamina to do 8 hours and 36 minutes. Again, 7 SSRs seem to be a trend. French have OBA. 548s are assault engineers for the Germans, so there's again 2 squads of that. There's even an 88 early war 88 flat gun for the Germans. And they're facing off against 9 tanks. 18 squads, wow. Versus 12, 14 squads. 15 if you count the other half squad. Now they do have artillery pieces and anti-tank guns on the German side to help mitigate this assault, but well, nine turns, eh? And then we're looking at number 5 now. 5 June 1940, Resolute Defense. This uses one of the new double wide boards, I think they're called, the 10B, as well as 2 half boards. No overlays. 8 SSRs, again all short. French are fanatic in any fortified building location, of which the French have 3. Again, the German 548s are... Oh, no, they're not assault engineers in this one. A couple of early war SIG B, 1Bs and 150s. 2 of those to come in. The French do not have any anti-armor defense against those. So I guess you could try and use your mortar against them. Although the SIG B would be crew exposed by and large, it could be... they could go buttoned up. That way the machine guns couldn't hurt them. And there's also 3 Panzer 30 ATs coming in as well. This one looks more doable. 8 turns, 6 hours and 30 minutes for playtime. This one looks fun, except for that board 10B, which I do not have any of those large boards. Number 6, Stand at Ruin. 9 June 1940, 2 map boards. 6 lengthy SSRs. French are fanatic in the fortified building locations again. And here we have 548s representing assault engineers. So a lot of these early war scenarios have 548 as assault engineers and not the 838s, which I guess stands to reason. Now the French module Corps de Guerre has 468 assault engineers, I believe. It would have been nice if Multi-Man or a Lone Canuck had used those. It would have been nice to tie into that, but obviously this probably came out before that module. Possibly, not sure. But it would have been nice to use just the one blend of 468 assault engineers rather than have 468s, 548s, 838s, and everything in between for assault engineers. 6.5 turns. Playtime is 6 hours and 44 minutes. These are all lengthy playtimes. I'm not sure why it takes 6 hours and 45 minutes, but a good mix of pieces. Again, we've got armor, armored cars, anti-tank guns. No OBA in this one. Fortifications exist. Large complement of squads and vehicles. So the Germans have 16 squads and 8 vehicles. The French, for their part, have 10.5 squads and 8 vehicles of various kinds, including a couple of armored cars. So, moving on to number 7, Steel Mammoths. 10 June 1940, again uses one of the large boards, 1A, as well as 2 half boards and 1 overlay. A lot of SSRs in this one. This one has 9. They're fairly short. French are again fanatic in any fortified building locations. 548s are again the assault engineers. of which the Germans get 3, entering as reinforcements on turn 3. Play time is 10 hours and 28 minutes for an 8-turn scenario, which is redonkulous. In terms of French vehicles, looks like you have 9 of the Lorraine 38 longs. I'm not sure what those are. Troop carriers of some kind, I suppose. I don't know if the French Order of Battle has 9. With the new module and the Dinant addition to the French module, possibly, but I don't know offhand if you have enough vehicles for that. So you may have to substitute counters for that. Again, large mix of squads. The French have vehicles and the Germans in the defense do not. This one is weird. It has a French setting up first and it has them moving first. Clash at Juniville. This has a weird combination of boards. It looks like 4 half boards as well as one of the larger boards, 12A. 8 turns, requiring 10 hours to play. I don't know why all these scenarios are taking so long to play. Obviously, I haven't played any of these yet, so I can't make any assessment, but that seems to be rather excessive. At any rate, 10 June 1940, 8 turns, 6 SSRs, including the German 548s as assault engineers. Again, French have fortified building locations, and they are fanatic with inside them. Again, sensing a trend here. What do we have? We have 12.5 squad, 13.5 squads, including reinforcements for the French. And then we have 10 4.67s with a couple of, with 3 assault engineer 548s coming in as reinforcements. A lot of armored vehicles in this one for both sides. But the French only have 2 AT guns, and they have to wait basically for their 3 tanks to roll in before they have any kind of anti-armor support. All right, second last scenario, we have the Shield of France. This is the Sar Gap, France, in 14 June of 1940. Uses most of 2 boards. 6 turns. Estimated playtime is 5 hours. This one's got Germans attacking bunker systems, appears. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pillboxes, including entrenchments and wire. And the German assault, for their part, has 548 assault engineers, of which you get 6. Some DCs and flamethrowers, and a couple of infantry guns and 2 81 mortars. Each 127 inside the French pillbox is a fanatic. Interesting. This one looks like it's doable. Attacking the fortified positions is going to be painful. They are 157s except for the other 2 primarily, but they do have an ELR of 2, which might make it easier to break into the fortifications, even though they are fanatic. I guess that's a good offset for the low ELR. So this is a weird one because in SSR number 3, you make a secret die roll. The French make a secret die roll +3, and you receive that many concealment counters equal to the result. Now, considering everything sets up inside a pillbox, and all the unit compositions are the same inside the pillbox, I don't see what purpose having potentially 9 concealment counters would do. Although I suppose the provisional entry block units do not have to set up in the pillbox. Is that right? Oh, it looks like the French units do not have to set up inside the 357 pillbox, so they can use the concealment to expand their lines. The trench does have to be connected to the pillbox. And looks like all the other pillboxes have a trench as well, so you could have some kind of connectivity between them. I suppose you can make use of the concealment. It strikes me as an odd addition to the scenario. But looks like it's doable. I think maybe we'll try that one. Mussolini's Gamble, 21 June 1940. Interesting. This one's Italian versus French. Italians move first, French are in defense. It uses 2 half-boards with 4 overlays. Last 7.5 turns. Lengthy SSRs number 7. And it looks like the troop count is not that high, although the Italians do have a lot of units. 18 and a half squads, including 447s and 346s, as well as OBA. Interesting. Early War French versus Early War Italians. Never played the Italians really, so it'll be interesting. Oh, the 447 Italians are assault engineers with sapper capabilities. So the 6 447s count for the assault engineers. Again, just weird early war assault engineers. Just throws a glitch into the matrix, as it were. They definitely do not use a standard assault engineer units. Although, again, Italians have never used them, so that might be the actual elite unit. I really don't know. But that's the Battle for France, Lone Canuck Publishing's 10 scenarios for early war, May-June of 1940 conflict. Next up is Volume 1 of a 2-part Wacht Am Rhein. Deals with the 1st Army and 5th Panzer Army during the Battle of the Bulge from 16 to 20 December 1944. Volume 2, which follows on to this one, deals from 20 to 30 December 1944. So, German perspective on the Battle of the Bulge, which is kind of cool. These are second editions of these modules, so obviously they've been revised. And on the flip side of the cover, we have some special rules which apply to all these scenarios. Explains the Bangalore torpedo, which came out in the Steelworks scenario pack from Lone Canuck Publishing as well. Breaks down the American forces, so it looks like 667s are going to be your assault engineers, and not the standard 747s. Looks like this includes counters, which we'll get into, and the unique counters have the assault engineer symbol on the top left of the counter. So that's kind of cool. That's for the American forces. So for the German forces, it says during the fit-up for the Wacht am Rhein, the Germans engineer companies of Volksgrenadier and Fallschirmjäger divisions were organized around a core of veterans from divisions destroyed on the east or the west fronts and filled with new conscripts or excess personnel from the Luftwaffe and Kriegsmarine. So this is a mix of recruits, size of veteran cadre, and the time the new divisions had to form meant the performance of the divisions varied considerably. So this is reflected in the unit counter mix. So assault engineers for these scenarios are 838s. And they have a DC component on there, so those counters already exist in the order of battle. Volksgrenadier and Fallschirmjäger assault engineer replacements are 838s as well. And looks like they can actually be ELR replaced because they don't have underlined ELR in this case. Yeah, it's replaced by a 436. Wow, that is a bit of a jump. So when 838 exceeds its ELR by 3, it's replaced by a 436 conscript and no longer considered an assault engineer. And we have Fallschirmjäger. German 548s with the diving eagle in the upper right corner are considered Fallschirmjäger. They battle harden. Oh, they guess they only become fanatic, and they ELR to a 447. Finally, we got the Volksgrenadiers. Looks like these are unit counters that come out as well. Yep. So there are counters included in the scenario pack for the Volksgrenadier. So first scenario, we have Wacht Am Rhein 1, 16 December 44. Here we have 2 half boards, 8 turns, and 4 SSRs. Americans set up first, Germans move first. Germans win at game end if there are no good order American MMC or good order mobile AFVs with functioning MA on any 3 or less hexes from 67K5. So this has a small counter mix, which is good. Probably makes for a relatively short scenario. We've got 4 squads for the Americans with 2 tanks, as well as some support weapons and defensive fortifications. Attacking them are 3 assault engineers and 7 467 squads with Bangalores and DCs and flamethrowers and support. Now, Americans have a higher ELR of 4, the Germans only have a 3. But this one looks interesting. Maybe we'll give that one a whirl too. Next up is Rising Tide, number 2, 16 December 44. This uses 2 boards, 10 and 16, with 1 overlay. Victory conditions are, provided the Americans have not amassed greater than or equal to 30 CVP, the Germans win immediately at the end of any game turn if they control 5 or more multi-hex stone buildings. 9 turns, that is a lot of time. American sets up first, Germans move first. The Americans have armor and defense. The attacking Germans do not have any armor. Interesting. So this is there's a question asked on Facebook if there's any scenarios that had defender only AFV, and this is now one of them. Rising Tide. 8 SSRs, which seems to be a lot. Here we have 838 assault engineers. Oh, they're Volksgrenadier assault engineers, so they have an ELR of 3 and can be ELR replaced. This one has 547 Volksgrenadier Sturm, first line MMCs. And the Germans get a 150 rocket OBA module for the attack. Troop count is fairly low. We've got 6, 8, 11, 12 and a half American squads versus 7, 10, 14, 16, 18 German squads. Again, Germans have no armor, but they do have a couple of PSKs, which can do some damage on the tanks, and DCs and flamethrowers as well. German ELR is still a 3. So if these A38s exceed their ELR real high, they're going to quickly lose their capability as assault engineers. I wonder if that means they become, if they're wielding a flamethrower, do they start to use the inexperienced rules? I would guess so. Interesting. Number 3, we got Fat Sparrows atop the Skyline Drive. And 17 December 1944, 2 boards. 7 SSRs again. 838s in this case are Volksgrenadier assault engineers. Once again, with an ELR of 3, they are reduced to 436s. And you have Volksgrenadier 547s as well. This one's got armor on both sides. The Germans got 3 Jagdpanzer 30ATs. And the Americans have 4 Shermans. German sets up first and they move first, which is kind of weird. Again, troop count is fairly low. We've got 11 Americans versus 10, 13, 15 Germans. So fairly low troop count, mix of armor and infantry. Oh, and the Americans do suffer from ammunition shortage on their support weapons. So could make it dicey. Another one that seems to be rather interesting. I think we'll give that one a whirl too. Number 4, Promising Start, 17 December 44. Uses most of 2 map boards and it looks like it has 4 overlays. 6.5 turns. The Germans win immediately if they have exited 12 or more VP, at least 4 of which must be infantry off the south edge. American sets up first and Germans move first. 7 SSRs. Here again we have the 547 Volksgrenadier Sturm. Small unit count as well. 5 guns for the Americans. Wow. And the Germans have 2 Jagdpanzer 30ATs again. Wonder what the 57 Long does against Jagdpanzer. Number 5, Here We Stand, 17 December 44. Uses 2 full map boards. The Germans win immediately if they exit 25 or more VP off the west edge. 7.5 turns. American sets up and the German moves first. This one has Fallschirmjägers, so 5 for 8s. So American sets up 3 outposts. Each outpost consists of 3 trenches, 3 MMCs, and 1 medium, and 1 bazooka, and 1 heavy. Wow. And each outpost must be set up at least 6 or more hexes apart. Wow. So the Americans are really spread out, and the Germans can therefore focus their attack on 1 or 2 of these outposts at a time without having to worry about the other one. Now, the Americans do have 3 Shermans in reserve, which they can always draw upon to fill the gap. But, yeah, 15, well, 16, I guess. No, 15 German Fallschirmjäger squads with a couple of Stugs 3Gs in support. It's good to know that they can focus their efforts on one side of the battlefield. They don't have to take on all 3 outposts because they only have to exit off the board. Now, 25 victory points is a lot that has to survive. So that could be, what, 10 squads would be 20 and a Stug. That would probably do it. So the Germans can't afford to lose too much. They have to get 25 victory points off, which would probably be most of their forces. Number 6, Private Ventures. So this one takes place in, again, 17 December 44. 2 full boards. Americans set up first, Germans move first, and it's 6.5 turns. Here we have 548 Fallschirmjägers again, with some 838 assault engineers. But the 838s have an ELR of 3, so they could be replaced with a 436 and therefore lose their assault engineer capability, which kind of sucks. Again, a mix of guns, armor, and troops. Troop count isn't that high. There's only 4 American squads with a lot of armor, 9 tanks and 2 guns, versus 14 German squads and 2 Stugs with a couple of mortars. So this one looks like it could be fairly evenly matched. So I don't know about going the attack with this kind of force. Victory conditions are provided the Americans have not amassed more than 24 CVP. The Germans win immediately at the end of any game turn if they control all the stone or rubble buildings on board 24 on between hex rows J to V. There's a lot of armor to defend against. The 105 Shermans, nothing to sneeze at. They'll do a number on the troops, and you got 375 Shermans. Probably do a good number on the Stugs. Yeah, I don't know about playing this one. Number 7, Audacity on Omaha. A weird board configuration. He uses about 2/3 of board 53 and a small sliver of board 40. I'm guessing 40 is the canal board, or is it a river board? I think it's a river board. So it only includes the north half of the riverboard. 9 SSRs, 7.5 turns. That is a lot of SSRs. And again, not a large number of troops. So this one has 6 American squads, 3 tanks, versus 10 German squads with no armor and 1 Panzerschreck. Looks to be hard fought for the Germans. Germans do have OBA, and I'm just trying to see if the bridge on board 40. This one looks like it might be interesting to play. Small troop count, 7.5 turns is kind of lengthy, but it should be doable. Oh, I see. So the American armor, I was trying to figure out what these numbers were, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 4, and 6. And that is the reinforcement die roll that has to be rolled for the American tanks to enter as reserve on the west edge of board 53. So the Germans will likely be flanked during the latter half of the scenario. So they really got to push to set up to prepare for that and take out those 667s and such. Now it doesn't say it, but the victory conditions state that provided the bridge is not destroyed, which if destroyed will result in immediate victory for the Americans, the Germans win immediately upon exiting 10 or more victory points off the west edge. Now the Americans got 2 667 assault engineers, 2 demo charges, so if you set those, you could blow the bridge on the American turn. Turn 1, you would set it. Turn 2, you would blow it. And have a good chance of probably destroying the bridge. So the Germans got 2 turns to basically kill those 2 squads. With all this wire and minefield factors, one or the other, to get through. Interesting. This might take a couple playthroughs to figure out how to work best. I think we'll try this one. Audacity and Omaha, Dave. Baston roadblocks. Last one in this volume 1 scenario pack. 2 full boards. Again, small mix of troops, but a large mix of vehicles for the Germans. 6 half tracks, 2 armored cars or Pumas. 4 Pumas, I guess, and 3 Panthers. Up against 2 AT guns and 9 squads for the Americans. Germans win by amassing 45 or more victory points, and for each unit they exit off the map board, they get victory points as well. Mist is in effect, so that'll give you a line of sight hindrance for every multiple of 6 hexes. Off-road movement is going to be a little bit difficult because EC are wet and the ground is soft. The roadblocks appear to be hasty defenses, so they only provide a +1 terrain effect for hull down status as opposed to normal +2 and can be easily removed. Okay, interesting. Baston roadblocks might be another one that we want to give a try. And lastly, let's look at the counter sheets. So this one here, as you can see, has a mix of German and a little bit of Americans at the bottom. We've got 547s at the top with the Volksgrenadier symbol on it. That might be better. You can make out the VG. These ones here, the 548s, are your Lone Canuck Publishing's Fallschirmjäger counters if you don't have any yourself. You can probably use standard 548s. You don't have to use these ones. We've also got 447 Fallschirmjäger, which you probably will have to use. And then we have the 838s with the Assault Engineer symbol. Again, I have plenty of these. I don't think we need to use those. And then we have some support weapons. We've got a couple more Bangalores if you don't have the Steelworks module. Looks like to be OBA crews. Interesting. I don't think those are in the scenarios at all. I do not see them in the in any of the scenarios. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do with those 228 AOTs. It says looks to be some kind of a radio observer crew. I'm not sure where those go. You've got some extra leaders, which I'm not too keen on the artwork. I'll just use the standard ones. And then here we have some 667s for the Americans with the Assault Engineer symbol on it, as a couple of half squads as well. It's kind of funny the artwork that they use for the armor leaders. Looks to be like they're giving the Hitler salute. Maybe a poor choice. He's probably just pointing, but from a 12-inch distance, it looks like he's giving that salute. And the Americans get Bangalores as well. So hopefully Bangalore's make an appearance in the regular rules, not just in Lone Canuck Publishing stuff. But yeah, it's 2017, eh? This is the back. So here we have the I don't think any of these have reduced ELRs on the back or morale on the back. No, they're 8s, 7s. Yeah. And that's the counters. All right, so that is Wacht Am Rhein, 2nd edition, Volume 1, featuring 8 scenarios that have been revised, dealing with the Battle of the Bulge from the Germans' perspective in early mid-December 1944. Last up, we've got Volume 2 of the Wacht Am Rhein. Again, this is 20 to 30 December 1944, Battle of the Bulge. Time frame. This scenario pack consists of 8 revised scenarios. So on the back, much like in the first volume, is a breakdown of the different SSRs that apply to these scenarios, including some custom counters, which only come in the Volume 1 pack. So if you want to play this, some of the special scenarios like the 548 Fallschirmjäger or Volksgrenadier units, you'll need the Volume 1, which has the counters for that as well. And also the American 667 Assault Engineers. Typically you use a 747, but in this scenario pack, they use 667s as your Assault Engineers if you're an American. So we have a breakdown again. We got the breakdown of the Bangalore torpedoes, how they're used, breakdown of the American forces, as I just said, and then the German forces. And then a lengthy section including some history on the Volksgrenadier, as well as their unit replacements if they should lose ELR. So first up, scenario number 9, big bonus. 20 December 44, that's an interesting look on Buddy's face. 3 map boards, 5 SSRs, and 8 turns. This one has estimated playing times for all the scenarios, unlike Volume 1. So this one, the playtesters estimate 6.5 hours to play, which again is fairly long. It's got a mix of armor and infantry, no guns. So Germans get 4 Panthers and 10 squads, nope, 16 squads as they attack, versus the Americans, who have a crap load of armor, including armored cars, and 6 squads. And the armor comes on as a reinforcement in turn 3, 4, or 5, depending if you make that die roll. So initially it's a small unit, 10 squads versus 6, force on force, and then you have reinforcements rolling in on turn 3 or greater. Okay, Americans have an ELR of 5, so they're not going to be breakable very much. And the Germans have an ELR of 3. These are Volksgrenadier 547, so when you ELR, you're reduced to, I believe it's a 237 half squad. If you fail that, you're disrupted. So the 547s don't ELR, they just break down into 2 half squads or disrupted if you can't go any further. Scenario number 10 is Line in the Sand. Here we have one board S, I'm not sure what that one is, and looks like we got 6 overlays. 6.5 turns, estimate 5.5 hours of playtime. American sets up and the Germans are on the attack. Here we have 747 paratroopers for the Americans, 11 of them, versus 12 German squads and a lot of armor, including two Jagdpanzer 470s. Those should be fun to deal with. 3 Panzer 4Js and 4 half-tracks. The Americans have 3 bazookas. Again, this one looks to be doable. I think we'll try this one as well. Number 11, penny packets. So here we have 23 December 44 with 2 map boards, 42 and 43. 8 turns and estimate almost 7 hours of playtime, which again, it makes for a long playtime. I don't think a lot of guys are going to be able to play that long. As we get older, we tend to lose our stamina for these long scenarios. So this might be a 2-parter. German side is elite for ammunition purposes. So that increases their special ammo capabilities, which is good. We have 11 squads and 3 Panthers. I think these are the early war model Panthers. Or no, these are the G, so these are the late war. So they only stall, they don't burn up their engines when they try and start. And 11 squads and 3 Panthers versus 18 American squads. Americans are on the attack, and the German Panthers roll in as reinforcements on a variable die roll between turns 4, 5, and 6. Germans have an ELR of 2, so obviously this is the tail end of the battle when they're starting to lose their stamina. And the American reinforcements starting on turn 2 consist of some anti-air half-tracks, which should do a fair number against the units. Of course, you got 3 Panthers, and the Americans only have looks like 3 bazookas to deal with that threat. So as long as the Americans or the Germans stand off, the Panthers should be able to do a good number on the beleaguered Americans, and they set up in defense as well. All right, number 12, just short. So this one is December 44, 24 December, I should say. 2 boards. Americans set up and the Germans move first, and it's 7.5 turns lasting 7 hours. Again, I'm not sure what's with the long play times, but these have been play tested, and I assume that's the average time that they came up with. Germans get a pre-game bombardment. AFV crews are only a 7 for the Germans as opposed to their standard 8. Again, Volksgrenadier units. So if they 547 breaks ELR, they're broken down to 2 half squads, and if a half squad fails its ELR, then it's disrupted. So there's no unit replacement per se, just degradation. And there's a chance for an Americans to receive a 155 OBA module on a variable turn 2, 3, or 4 if they roll into that number. And it looks like they're never going to lose ammunition or access to the battery. So you may not get a fire mission, but you're never going to lose battery access by drawing 2 red shits. Interesting. Troop-wise, what have we got? 11 squads and 2 tanks, with a 3rd rolling in as a reserve on turn 5, versus 12 squads, again Volksgrenadier for the Germans, along with 2 Stugs, 2 half-tracks, and then 3 Stugs and a half-track rolling in as reinforcements on turn 3. So it seems to be fairly well balanced. Troop count is the same. Germans are on the attack, however, and the Americans are in defense. This one I think we'll do. Again, I'm not sure about the 7-hour playtime, but it is what it is. Then we have 13. It uses most of two boards, 23 and 49. This one is Americans setting up and Germans moving first. 6.5 turns, and this one's only 4.5 hours, so much more playable. Mixture of guns, armor, and troops. We have 11 American squads and 2 tanks and 2 guns versus 10 German squads. Yeah, 10 German squads and 3 Panthers rolling in again. And the 548s are assault engineers for the Germans. Oh, this also has OBA as well. So the German player has a 105 OBA, directed by an off-board observer. Yeah, I think we're going to do this one, Dave. The playing time is nice and short, 6.5 turns. The OBA emission arrives on a level 4 off-board observer. Wow. And the American tanks come on between turns 2 to 4 if you roll under that number. So definitely by turn 4 you're going to have 2, I think those are Wolverines, the M18 GMC, maybe the Hellcat, rolling in to deal with those pesky Panthers. Number 14 uses a majority of 3 boards. 24 December 44, Christmas Eve. American setting up, German moving first. 9 hours of playtime. I do not see us playing this one. Although it might be nice to tackle as a 2-parter, maybe even a 3-parter. Large different mix of troops for the Americans. You've got 6.66s, 5.46s, and 3.46s. Mixed in with some support weapons and guns and OBA. And the Germans, for their part, have 13 half-tracks, 4 Panthers, wow, and 2 SIG 38s assault guns. Troop-wise, it seems very intriguing, but I don't know about playing this one just because of the game time. If it's going to take 9 hours to play, I definitely cannot tolerate that. We'd have to break it up with at least 2 game sessions. But you never know. Maybe we'll throw it into the mix. Have a long session with plenty of breaks. Number 15, Glimpse of the Muse. Here we have 4 boards, 25 December 1944. Germans don't care about Christmas, I guess. Germans setting up, and the Allies are on the attack. 8 turns, lasting 16 hours and 32 minutes. I have no idea why it takes that long to play. Each side takes an hour for each of their turns. That is crazy. Large mix of armor. Again, Germans have half-tracks, flak panzers, armored cars, and Panthers. Americans have jeeps, armored cars, fighter bombers, tanks, half-tracks. Oh, I see. The British are coming as allies on a reinforcement die roll. But still, 16.5 hours to play is ridiculous for ASL. That's campaign level play time. I don't see many people playing this one unless you have a dedicated place to set it up and 3 days to play it. Either that or you're very young. Yeah, I'm not playing that one. And then finally we have number 16, Ambitious Ideas. 30 December 44. This uses one of the double boards, 12A, as well as 2 half boards, 85 and 5. 85, I think I've seen that one, so I'm not sure where that one comes in. And we have Americans versus Fallschirmjäger, with some SS units thrown in, coming in as reinforcements. This one seems doable. It's 7.5 turns, although it's 9 hours again to play through, and I just don't get it. Germans have winter camouflage, which will help them with line of sight hindrances. And squad counts, we've got 14 Americans with a mix of support weapons and guns and OBA, minefields and fortifications, versus, wow, 3 Fallschirmjäger assault engineers, 18 Fallschirmjäger 447s. Then we have 5 SS 658s along with a couple of Jagdpanzer, 7 Jagdpanzer 470s, which I don't think is even in the order of battle count. I'm sure they max out at 6, so the Jagdpanzer 470s, you might have to do some unit substitution for that. And it uses Bangalore torpedoes as well, so you're going to definitely have to use the new counter mix from Volume 1. Yeah, some of these scenarios in Volume 2 you cannot play without Volume 1, so it's a bit of a limitation. But something to deal with. And again, that 9 hours playtime is going to be very daunting. And there we have it, guys. The 3 more scenario packs from Lone Canuck Publishing, courtesy of Dave. Thanks, Dave, for my present. Some of them, as you've seen the video, we're going to play. Some of them we're probably not going to play, given how long they're expected to play through, especially in the second volume when you have some that reach 16 hours. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Volume 1, reminder, has the counter sheets for Volume 1 and 2 if you're going to do the Wacht Am Rhein. So you need some of these counters, especially Bangalore's and Volksgrenadier squads, if you want to play those scenarios. There should be enough counters for each of them so you don't run out. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you played through any of these yourselves, what you thought, and recommendations on scenarios to play and try in these ones. I'm eager to hear your comments. Give me a thumbs up on the video if you think I earned it. And like the video, and we'll see you guys next one. Bye, guys.